Mind the gap.
Hello and welcome to issue 2 of Marvel Universe Figurine Collection. This one came the other day. This is a fortnightly collection. However, because the subscription has only just kicked in, we don't have a regular supply. I'm actually going to be releasing the first couple of issues 3 weekly till about issue 4, and then this will enable me to just get a little bit of a backlog of magazines, not too many. Otherwise what happens is that the issues come very close to the day that I'm hoping to release them on YouTube, and it just puts me under a lot of pressure just to get through them quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'll open up the figurine first, and then I'll go through the magazine. That way, if you're just here just to see the figurine, then obviously you can stop watching and you know, miss out the bit from the magazine. If you're here for the full issue, then it really doesn't matter which way round you do it. So this is Ironman, so we'll pop this to one side. Now, as many of you may remember from the first edition, I found the quality of the sculpt very, very good. However, I found the paint quality quite poor. This is partly because, being a painter myself, obviously I'm no longer into mass-produced quality painting. However, I can appreciate that if you're buying this just to pop it on the shelf, it's not bad. Having said that, I've not seen this yet, so the little stickies haven't stuck down properly. Don't need them anyway. So, first impressions, it looks nice. It's nice and shiny, as you would expect. And then we have I believe this is a unique number, and it's like a certificate of authenticity. The base looks a little bit grubby. If you see there's all marks on there, I may be able to do something about that. Remember, I'm planning on repainting these anyway. So let's have a look at the quality. Again, nice solid figure. It looks quite nice for a plain model, and what I mean by plain, it's only got about 2 colours on it. 3 colours if you include that bit in the middle. Compared to other figures, it's very, very plain, so it's at a disadvantage straight away, because being only 2 colours, both those colours have to be interesting. So what I'm especially looking at is where the colours meet. There's a little bit of overpaint there, but I'll have to say, on the whole, this is quite good. More overpainting there, and then there's a little bit of gold there that hasn't gone right up to the edge. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. I'm sure I can do something with that chest plate. That looks quite plain and white. The paint is a little bit thin, and it just shows the red underneath. And the eyes, what they've done with the eye, actually the eyes are very poor. All they've done is just stopped painting, unless there's supposed to be yellow in there. So there you go, guys. There's the next figurine. I must admit, I'm more happy with this than the Spider-Man from the last issue. Yeah, that's okay. So again, like I say, I'm going to be repainting it at a later date. But if you're just buying it just to pop on the shelf, I wouldn't say that's a bad figure. So I'll just try and rebox that. The box seems to have got a little bit bent in transit. It's not a problem. But obviously I just like to use the box just for storage. Now, I must confess, Ironman isn't one that I'm really up to date on. I've seen the films, but other than that, I really don't know. And this is the first thing. I mean, until I subscribed to this, I didn't know about this chap. So there we have a bit on the Secret Origins. Some nice artwork. a couple of little, so obviously he's bulletproof according to this. Subscriber benefits, yeah, I already subscribe. To be honest with you, if you're going to buy this, subscribe. If you're not going to buy it, don't worry about it at all. Behind the scenes, now what I plan to do is I'll read excerpts from this while I'm actually doing the repainting, which is why I'm only sort of whizzing through, and I'm not sure about copyright with me actually sitting here and reading it. I'm sure I can show you. But I don't want to get in trouble. Maybe they'll say, oh, well, you're reading it, people don't need to actually buy it. So this is behind the scenes. Unlikely Avenger. Many of the Marvel superheroes created by Stan Lee in the 60s saw the writer deliberately attempting to defy expectations. The Fantastic Four were a family rather than a conventional hero team, and didn't even wear costumes for their first few issues. Spider-Man was a teenager under the mask. The Hulk 2 was a destructive monster. With Iron Man, however, Lee's taste for the contrary ran to the extreme, as the character was intended to be the sort of person his usual readership actively disliked. And to be honest with you, I don't particularly like the guy. I find him quite arrogant. So it's nice to know that I've picked up on what Stan Lee has intended. It was the height of the Cold War. If there was one thing the readers hated, it was war and the military. Obviously, I've not come into Iron Man during the Cold War, so that doesn't apply to me. So yeah, it's yeah. So down the years, the Iron Man in the 60s. You can see he's changed a little bit. Or has he? And then into the 70s. The 70s didn't see as many changes in armour as later decades, but they saw a huge change in the character and personality of Tony Stark as he got out of the weapons business and struggled with alcoholism. So we're bringing obviously real life problems into superheroes. So obviously they're all subject to the same problems we are. Sorry, the staples are up a little bit. This is what happens with quick products. Iron Man in the 80s and 90s. Danger, adventure and upheaval, and never too far away from Tony Stark in the 80s and 90s. Provided no let-up for Marvel's billionaire industrialist, seeing him lose his company, becoming homeless, and even seemingly lose his life. So there we are into the 80s and 90s. 21st century. Welcome to the 21st century, and it's time to see how Marvel's most technologically innovative hero manages to stay at the forefront of development in a new age. And obviously we have Avenger versus Avenger in the Civil War. Just give you that's quite a nice shot actually. Again, lots of nice reference shots for me to use when I come to repaint the figure. Oh, there he is, he goes back to the beginning. Powers, gadgets and costumes of Iron Man. A genius intellect fueled by unimaginable wealth, Tony Stark made a name for himself building devastating weapons. Today he fights to protect the Marvel Universe as an armoured Avenger. Read on to discover some of the coolest tech in Iron Man's arsenal. So we have the high-tech HUD, HUD. What's that? Head-up display, isn't it? Oh, and then we have some shots of Iron Man over the years. So we've got Mark 1, we've got the Mark 2 red and gold armour, the Mark 8 silver Centurion armour, the Norman Osborn's Iron Patriot armour, the Mark 45 Deep Space armour, which made its first appearance in 2013, the Iron Man Mark 50 Endosim Superior armour, and then we have the modern day, I assume it's the modern day, Mark 51 Model Prime armour. So there's, possibly with the exception of one or two, although there's been very big changes, he's easily recognisable as he goes. When the Incredible Hulk was laid waste to New York City, Tony got out the big guns, literally. Despite its souped up nature, it was no match for the Hulk, who brought a skyscraper crashing down on top of it. And then we've got his allies, the War Machine, first appearance 1979, Captain America, Liberty's living embodiment. Steve Rogers was a wartime icon frozen in time, awoken by the Avengers. He struggled to adapt to modern life and Tony's high-tech ways. Fighting alongside each other for decades, however, has made the two as close as brothers. And then you've got Pepper Potts. And then his enemies, you've got Madame Mask, the Mandarin, and you've got Melon. And then coming up in issue 3, we have Deadpool, and issue 4, Thor. I'm interested in Thor, however, I'm apprehensive with that one. I mean, look at the face. It looks very dollish, doesn't it? So we'll see. So overall, a good issue. Lots of reference material for me. Lots of interesting things for me to read, to learn about a character that I don't know as much about. Yeah, should be a good project with a repainting, and yeah, I should enjoy reading this magazine thoroughly. Thank you for watching, guys. As I said earlier, the next issue will be in 3 weeks. That will be Deadpool, and I'm just slowing them down a little bit just to wait for the subscriptions to catch up. Once the subscriptions are coming through regularly, then I'll be pushing them out every 2 weeks as before. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Bye bye.